You're listening to the Acadiana's Morning News Podcast, brought to you by LABI and always on KPEL965.com.
Every day, Mark fights retinitis pigmentosa, a blinding retinal disease. But even while his vision is taken, his family gives him hope. Because whether he's helping run their business or enjoying time at home with his wife and sons, Mark knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding diseases, providing real hope to those fighting vision loss. And our nationwide community of local chapters provides networking and support for people with vision loss, as well as their loved ones. Because the best way to fight against blinding diseases is to fight together. And for Mark, winning the fight against vision loss means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Learn more about how you can help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Since 1971, Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities has reached out to scholars, institutions, and local communities to enrich our shared culture. Want to know more about LEH and the rich culture of Louisiana? Visit leh.org for more information or to donate.
For those fortunate enough to help the person who has always been their hero, find the care guides you need to help at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios.
Your puck.
It's been a long night at UCLA. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Police are on campus now, but they weren't for hours overnight as pro and anti-Israel protesters clashed.
They're throwing things at each other. They're pepper spraying each other. How are they allowed to have weapons on campus?
Fox's Jonathan Hunt's in Los Angeles.
The one thing I did not see in that 2.5 to 3 hours of this ongoing brawling that you saw was a single law enforcement officer, not from CHP, not from LAPD, not from campus police. There was some private security standing there, completely unequipped to deal with this.
In New York City, Columbia called the cops to clear out an encampment and take back a university building. Protesters had taken over, and late last night,
droves of officers in riot gear moved past makeshift barricades created by those students. Dozens of protesters again were led out to correctional buses, their hands zip-tied behind their backs. Crowds stood by cheering on those protesters and booing the police officers. The NYPD told us no one was injured during the arrest.
Fox's CB Cotton at Columbia. There were also arrests in an encampment cleared at City College in Manhattan as protests rage on campuses nationwide. Former President Trump, who will campaign in Michigan and Wisconsin on this off day at his criminal trial, says the violence must stop, telling Fox's Hannity President Biden has to do something.
Biden is supposed to be the voice of our country, and it's certainly not much of a voice.
The president, in a statement yesterday, called for peaceful protests and condemned dangerous hate speech on campus. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is in Israel pushing for a ceasefire to stop the war in Gaza that's being protested.
And the only reason that wouldn't be achieved is because of Hamas.
Now, this morning, Vice President Harris will go to Florida, touting abortion rights for women. The day a new law takes effect in Florida, banning most abortions at 6 weeks of pregnancy. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5 a.m. plumbing disasters, finding out why water is pouring from the ceiling, replacing a pipe in a home from the 1800s, then dealing with invoices or your awkward apprentice or that really weird smell, and then there's breathing and eating and, of course, clogs. But the easiest thing on any small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you could save on the business insurance that's right for you. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
Hours before the chaos on the UCLA campus with pro and anti-Israel demonstrators clashing, a different chaotic scene at a different campus.
The LA Fire Department says at least 55 people were injured when a metro train and a University of Southern California transport bus collided near the university's downtown campus. revealing 2 people, the bus driver and a passenger on the bus, were hospitalized with serious injuries. A rep for LA Metro says the bus crossed the path of a train line which runs from East LA to downtown Santa Monica.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Something much worse happened on a road in China, killing at least 24 people.
China's southern Guangdong province has seen huge amounts of rain in recent days. That could be the cause of the collapse of a near 60-foot section of highway at around 2 a.m. local time. Drivers who just missed the disaster report hearing a loud noise and then a crater appearing in their rear-view mirror. The collapse appears to have caused fires as well. Around 30 people are in the hospital. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The Federal Reserve will finish a 2-day meeting today to assess the economy, which has been slowing as inflation creeps back up. So the Fed is expected not to announce an interest rate cut in the meeting's end today. On Wall Street, stock futures are falling after big losses in April. The worst month for the Dow since September 2022, it dropped more than 5%. Drama in the NBA playoffs as the 76ers stay alive.
3 seconds left. Brunson, 2 seconds. Brunson at the horn. It's blocked. Overtime at the Garden.
And in that OT, Philadelphia beat New York 112-106 on TNT, but the Knicks still lead the series 3-2. The Bucks also stayed alive. Milwaukee routed Indiana by 23 points. The Pacers, however, still up 3-2 in that series. Cleveland edged Orlando to go up 3-2. In the NHL playoffs, Carolina eliminated the New York Islanders. Colorado knocked Winnipeg out. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wertz with a look at news on this Wednesday, May 1st. A federal court has thrown out Louisiana's congressional map, calling it, quote, an impermissible racial gerrymander, and says it does not meet Equal Protection Clause requirements. The ruling means the map, adopted by the legislature earlier this year, cannot be used in any future elections. A status conference to find an appropriate remedy is scheduled for next week. The Louisiana House is expected to vote today on legislation that would result in the state holding a constitutional convention starting on May 20th and ending as early as June 3rd. A constitutional convention would let 171 delegates, most of them state lawmakers, make significant changes to the state's constitution that would require voter approval on November 5th. A 2/3 vote is needed in the House for the constitutional convention proposal to advance to the Senate. The federal government may be reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The proposal would not legalize marijuana outright for recreational use. Rather, it would be an acknowledgement that cannabis has less potential for abuse than other dangerous drugs. Currently, marijuana falls in the Schedule 1 drug classification, the same as heroin and LSD. The proposal would reclassify it as Schedule 3 with drugs like ketamine and anabolic steroids. Following a public comment period and judicial review, the DEA would publish the final rule. Schedule 3 drugs are still controlled, and trafficking in them would still result in criminal prosecution. Legislation to better define gun-free zone laws pertaining to parade routes advanced from House Criminal Justice. New Orleans Representative Mandy Landry's bill clarifies that guns are not permitted within 100 feet of the center line of a parade route, and it would not apply to law enforcement. A vote of 8-5 sent the measure to the full House. The Alliance Defending Freedom has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Rapides Parish School District over the new Title IX rules. The suit was filed against the United States Department of Education and the Biden administration and calls the new rules a radical rewriting of federal law. A release about the lawsuit asserts that it forces schools to embrace a controversial gender ideology that harms children. Pro-Palestinian protests continue on the campus of Tulane University in New Orleans. The protests ramped up on Monday when demonstrators began setting up an encampment on school grounds. Several people were arrested. On Tuesday morning, Tulane closed some buildings on campus due to the demonstration. In 2023, the state of Louisiana logged 721 fraud complaints from people over the age of 60. As a result, criminals have stolen more than $18 million. That's according to the FBI's elder fraud data. Nationally, the incidence of fraud involving people 60 and older rose 11% over 2022. Anyone who falls victim to fraudsters is asked to submit a complaint through the FBI's intelligence gathering platform, IC3. goodfeet.gov. The Lafayette Parish School System has announced that Ryan Martin has been named principal of Paul Breaux Middle School. Martin has worked in Lafayette Parish schools for 21 years. The 1994 graduate of Northside High served in the United States Marine Corps and holds a bachelor's and master's degree from UL Lafayette. Good news for the national championship LSU gymnastics team. Top gymnast Haley Bryan is returning for a fifth year. Bryant also won the NCAA All-Around Championship, and she is the all-time perfect 10 leader in LSU history with 18. Bryant says she talked it over with family, coaches, and teammates, and she wasn't ready for it to end. That's a look at your news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
This hour of Acadiana's Morning News has been brought to you by Jani King. The King of Clean has been a leader in the cleaning industry on the Gulf Coast for over 35 years. To find out more about their cleaning and disinfecting services, head to their website at janiking.com.
I've been a client of the Good Feet store since December, and it never ceases to amaze me how many times my arch supports have saved me. Now, what am I talking about? There have been times when I'm working in my garden, and I know I'm going to pay for this, and I didn't. There have been times when I have played with my grandchildren on the floor and thought, okay, tomorrow I'm going to be really, really sore. And it didn't happen. Over the weekend, I did some major spring cleaning and just knew this morning that I was going to be hobbling along because my back hurt, and it just didn't happen. How does the Good Feet store relieve your pain in your knees, your hips, your back? Because it's all about alignment. I don't know the science behind it, but the staff at the Good Feet store is so well trained. They are so informative. Go in today and take a test walk, and you will be amazed, just like I have been since December. The Good Feet store. Don't you owe it to yourself to at least give it a try? Go in, ask all the questions. You don't need an appointment. They're right there on Ambassador Caffrey, right next to Chicken Salad Chick. The Good Feet store. Go by today. There's no sense in you living with pain, living with nagging aches anymore. The Good Feet store. You can visit them online too at goodfeet.com.
Plenty of clear skies out there in the afternoon. A little bit of patchy fog this morning. Should not be as dense as it was yesterday. Temperatures get up to about 89 degrees. Winds from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight lows tonight going to sit in the 70s. A couple scattered showers on the way for tomorrow, but the bulk of the rainfall holding off until the first half of the day on Friday. Clearing out, though, in time for the weekend. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
No accidents on the roadways early on this Wednesday morning. Current temperature 64 degrees. Good morning and welcome into Acadiana's Morning News on this Wednesday, May Day. You've been waiting to say May Day.
Oh, May Day, May Day. Good morning on May Day.
May 1st. Tracy Wirtz, Mark Pope joining you. It is National Skilled Trades Day. National School Principals Day on the same day that they announced a brand new principal at Paul Breaux Middle. It's Law Day today and Silver Star Service Banner Day. Let me see what that means, because I know there's gold stars, which means that a family has lost a loved one. Let's see. We celebrate Silver Star Banner Day on May 1st in recognition for the sacrifices of American service members, the sacrifices they've made for our country. This day is for Americans to remember service members who have been wounded in combat, are sick, or those who are dying. So hats off to you. Thank you so much for your service.
Yes.
A lot of things today because, you know, on May 1st, on the 1st of every month, companies like to launch products or launch anything for that matter. On this date in 2023, Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, resigned from Google amidst growing concerns over AI. The so-called godfather, who gained his nickname for his pioneering work in the AI field, resigned to help spread the word about the dangers of the emerging technology. How about that?
You go, Jeffrey.
On this date in 1999, SpongeBob SquarePants premiered on Nickelodeon, and every child of a certain age, or every person of a certain age, remembers SpongeBob and Patrick and Squidward.
Yes.
It was so, oh gosh. And you know, that is absolutely one of those cartoons that kids watch and they just laugh, and adults watch and laugh for completely other reasons.
Yeah.
The double entendres just are all over the place in that series. On this date in 1971, Amtrak began operating as the United States Passenger Railroad Company. Have you ever traveled by train?
I have not.
Yeah, I've been on an Amtrak one time. It was, for a school something or other. We went from Lafayette to New Orleans. It was exciting, and I've said that I would enjoy doing a train ride, but I'm too much of a control freak. I want to stop when I want to stop.
Right. I've ridden the trolley cars in New Orleans. That's enough for me.
Yeah, okay. May be Amtrak Light. On this date in 1966, the Beatles performed their final show in England. On this date in 1961, Fidel Castro banned elections and declared Cuba to be a socialist nation. On this date in 1952, this was interesting. I did not know about this. On this date in 1952, Mr. Potato Head was officially released. Originally, though, he only consisted of the accessories and you stuck it in an actual potato.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. Well, the tail end of it, I don't know that I had a Mr. Potato Head.
Right.
Where I stuck in the actual potato.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wonder when he wed Mrs. Potato Head.
I don't know when he became plastic, but that's weird. That's just weird. Here, kids, go play with these potatoes. On this date in 1941, General Mills introduced Cheerios, which was originally called Cheery Oats, marketed as an oat-based and ready-to-eat cereal. It was not until 1945 that the cereal was shortened. The name was shortened to Cheerios. On this date in 1931, the Empire State Building opened. And on this date in 1886, a national strike began in the United States calling for an 8-hour workday instead of a 12-hour workday. And thank you very much. Not that I work only 8 hours a day, but, it's good in theory.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a look at what's happened today in history and the things that we should remember, like Silver Star Banner Day. We have lots to do this morning. Coming up later this hour, we will talk to Ryan Schmeltz with Fox News. Of course, probably the biggest national news story definitely is the student protests going on across the country. And yesterday, Education Secretary Cardona testified at a hearing on Capitol Hill. We'll find out what he had to say. And Speaker Mike Johnson announced a house-wide crackdown on anti-Semitism on college campuses. And we will talk more about that throughout the hour. Also, yesterday, a federal court struck down Louisiana's congressional map for the reasons Mark and I have talked about for a while. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we visit with Broussard Mayor Ray Bork. He will be in with us, and we'll find out his mayor's minutes. And then at 8 o'clock, we are joined by Lafayette Parish School Superintendent Francis Touchette. So stay here. Lots to do. KPEL News Time, 6:17.
All new U.S. cars will be required to have automatic emergency braking systems by 2029. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration unveiling finalized new regulations. The new rules state that all new U.S. cars and trucks must be sold with automatic emergency braking. AEB sensors hit the brakes to avoid a collision if the driver is not able to do so in time. While AEB is already very common in new vehicles sold in the U.S., the new regulations will save hundreds of lives per year, according to the agency, as well as prevent at least 24,000 injuries and save billions in property damage. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg writing in a press release, quote, "The bipartisan infrastructure law is not only making historic investments in transportation, it's also ushering in a new era of safer travel by ensuring new cars and light trucks are equipped with automatic emergency braking, making our roads safer for drivers and pedestrians alike." With Fox on Tech, I'm Anna Eliopoulos. Fox News.
Party at Rock and Bowl all weekend, starting on Thursday with Kevin Naka and Cajun Preservation. Friday, That 90s Show. Saturday, Michael Scott Boudreaux. And Sunday, Gino Delafosse and French Rock and Boogie. Tickets now at rockandbowl.com. God bless you, God love you, and thank God for you.
Media Minute with Howard Kurtz.
The media's big headline coming out of Donald Trump's hush money trial yesterday was when Judge Juan Merchan, to no one's surprise, found Trump liable of violating the gag order in 9 out of 10 instances, fined him $9,000 and said he might send him to jail. No way I see that happening. Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer, his former banker, testified that he had no idea the money he was approving was involved with either a political candidate or somebody in the adult film business. And he pointed to other Michael Cohen misrepresentations. Keith Davidson, the lawyer representing both Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, testified about how he tried to peddle a deal for both women. Karen McDougal finally deciding to go with the Inquirer's parent company because she didn't want the details of her affair to come out, alleged affair. With your Media Minute, Howie Kurtz, Fox News.
Plenty of clear skies out there in the afternoon. A little bit of patchy fog this morning. Should not be as dense as it was yesterday. Temperatures get up to about 89 degrees. Winds from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight lows tonight going to sit in the 70s. A couple scattered showers on the way for tomorrow, but the bulk of the rainfall holding off until the first half of the day on Friday. Clearing out, though, in time for the weekend. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
We don't have any accidents on the roadways. Current temperature 64 degrees. KPEL News Time is 6:23 on this Wednesday, May the 1st, brand new month. And as we start a brand new month, the same story continues right now that has for, at least the last week or so, and that is the protests across the country. Students at college campuses are protesting the war going on in the Middle East. Most of them are pro-Palestinian protesters. And they say that it's because of the what they feel is the inhumane treatment of Palestinians. There have also been what were called counter protests, which are those folks who are in support of Israel, especially Jewish students. There is an article at our website of several that includes several videos of what's happening across the country. One of them is actually a group of pro-Palestinian protesters prohibiting a Jewish student from getting to class, going where he needs to on campus. And as I've been reading through the news coverage of this, it began at Columbia University, but an Associated Press reporter discovered that they had been planning that protest for months. In the hours of the planning sessions, he says they discussed communication strategies and their willingness to risk arrest. Then, after scouring online retailers and Craigslist for the most affordable options, they ordered tents. And of course, encampments have been set up, across different campuses. I think yesterday, hang on, let me make sure I quote myself correctly, because I found it as I was writing the article yesterday. There are around 40 encampments around the country on college campuses. And you can protest, but you can't set up camp. This morning, the news started coming out that police are working diligently to remove the protesters from Columbia because of the situation where they set up the encampment, but also because they're having to close down all of these halls on campus, and it's essentially disrupting the educational process. The same can be said for Tulane. You may have heard what's coming out of Tulane and seen some of that video. They had mounted patrol out there trying to prevent the encampment, protesters screaming at them, police trying to take down the tents. It's a very intense video, and again, I've shared some of that on our website. But this morning, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to interject something, sure. Tracy, about, for example, Columbia. This is not peaceful protest.
No.
This is violent. They broke in for the Hamilton building in on the Columbia University. Finally, the president of Columbia called out the New York police I was watching late last night. They broke in forcefully. They held hostages. And as you said, as you indicated, they are threatening the Jewish students on campus. And it's not good.
No, it's not. And this morning, the president of Tulane issued a long letter to the Tulane community and little bit more details about what's happening there. Early this morning, after issuing numerous warnings, Tulane University Police led a coordinated effort by the New Orleans Police Department and Louisiana State Police to remove protesters who have trespassed on our campus over the last 2 days and erected an illegal encampment on the edge of the lawn in front of Gibson Hall along St. Charles. And this was interesting. The overwhelming majority of the protesters are unaffiliated with our community. At this point, police have reported that at least 14 protesters have been arrested, including 2 Tulane students. These arrests are in addition to the 6 individuals, including 1 student, who were arrested on Monday. Monday's offenses include trespassing, resisting arrest, and battery on an officer. So they've put that letter out. And at least today is the last day of classes for most students as they prepare for finals. Gibson, Tilton Memorial, and Dinwiddie Halls will remain closed, and they're asking for staff and students who need to be in class to do so remotely. And that upsets me. If you want to have a peaceful protest, that's fine, but people should be able to live their lives around you if they choose not to be a part of what you are doing. So that's the status now. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we will talk to Ryan Schmeltz, as I said, with Fox News, who's been following this on Capitol Hill. Speaker Mike Johnson from Louisiana, of course, issued a statement yesterday. There is a house-wide effort to crack down on anti-Semitism on college campuses, and he is asking the House Education and Workforce Committee to look into federal funding for colleges and how that may be something that they use, I guess, to prevent these protests. I'd hate for the colleges to be punished, but there may be a way that they can assist in having these protesters removed, or at least communicating the message that they need to protest peacefully. So we've got all that coming up. Stay with us. KPEL News Time, 6:30.
KPEL covers Acadiana with Lowry's Printing and Copying.
The 27th Annual Sunset Urban Garden Festival is Saturday, May 4th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Marie Street in Sunset. That's across from the old Sunset High School. Native plants and flowers, ferns and tropicals, vegetables and herbs. There's educational opportunities, over 100 vendors, and children's activities. Also, Le Jardin des Enfants, the children's garden. Get more details, call Susie Brunet at 337-322-0129. The Lafayette Genealogical Society has Genealogy 101, a free workshop and roundtable Saturday, May 4th, beginning at 9:30 a.m. at the Lafayette Public Library in downtown Lafayette. Learn all about genealogy and ask your questions and meet other people with an interest in genealogy. To find out about more meetings, go to lalgs.org.
This hour brought to you by Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management. Online at MatthewJames.com.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wertz with a look at news on this Wednesday, May 1st. A federal court has thrown out Louisiana's congressional map, calling it, quote, an impermissible racial gerrymander, and says it does not meet Equal Protection Clause requirements. The ruling means the map, adopted by the legislature earlier this year, cannot be used in any future elections. A status conference to find an appropriate remedy is scheduled for next week. The Louisiana House is expected to vote today on legislation that would result in the state holding a constitutional convention starting on May 20th and ending as early as June 3rd. A constitutional convention would let 171 delegates, most of them state lawmakers, make significant changes to the state's constitution that would require voter approval on November 5th. A 2/3 vote is needed in the House for the constitutional convention proposal to advance to the Senate. The federal government may be reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The proposal would not legalize marijuana outright for recreational use. Rather, it would be an acknowledgement that cannabis has less potential for abuse than other dangerous drugs. Currently, marijuana falls in the Schedule I drug classification, the same as heroin and LSD. The proposal would reclassify it as Schedule III with drugs like ketamine and anabolic steroids. Following a public comment period and judicial review, the DEA would publish the final rule. Schedule III drugs are still controlled, and trafficking in them would still result in criminal prosecution. Legislation to better define gun-free zone laws pertaining to parade routes advanced from House Criminal Justice. New Orleans Representative Mandy Landry's bill clarifies that guns are not permitted within 100 feet of the center line of a parade route, and it would not apply to law enforcement. A vote of 8-5 sent the measure to the full House. The Alliance Defending Freedom has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Rapides Parish School District over the new Title IX rules. The suit was filed against the United States Department of Education and the Biden administration and calls the new rules a radical rewriting of federal law. A release about the lawsuit asserts that it forces schools to embrace a controversial gender ideology that harms children. Pro-Palestinian protests continue on the campus of Tulane University in New Orleans. The protests ramped up on Monday when demonstrators began setting up an encampment on school grounds. Several people were arrested. On Tuesday morning, Tulane closed some buildings on campus due to the demonstration. In 2023, the state of Louisiana logged 721 fraud complaints from people over the age of 60. As a result, criminals have stolen more than $18 million. That's according to the FBI's elder fraud data. Nationally, the incidence of fraud involving people 60 and older rose 11% over 2022. Anyone who falls victim to fraudsters is asked to submit a complaint through the FBI's intelligence gathering platform, ic3.gov. The Lafayette Parish School System has announced that Ryan Martin has been named principal of Paul Breaux Middle School. Martin has worked in Lafayette Parish Schools for 21 years. The 1994 graduate of Northside High served in the United States Marine Corps and holds a bachelor's and master's degree from UL Lafayette. Good news for the national championship LSU gymnastics team. Top gymnast Haley Bryant is returning for a 5th year. Bryant also won the NCAA All-Around Championship, and she is the all-time perfect 10 leader in LSU history with 18. Bryant says she talked it over with family, coaches, and teammates, and she wasn't ready for it to end. That's a look at your news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
Faith House has been Acadiana's safe haven since 1981 for victims suffering from violent or aggressive behavior in the home. This includes physical, emotional, financial, or sexual violence. We provide shelter, safety, advocacy, and resources to survivors and their children to empower them to break the cycle of abuse. Domestic violence affects 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men in their lifetime. In 2016, Faith House opened the Family Justice Center located downtown Lafayette, which houses law enforcement, prosecutors, civil legal services, and advocates under one roof to expedite the response time to domestic violence and reduce homicide rates. If you or someone you know is in need of assistance, please call our crisis line at 888-411-1333 to speak to an advocate. If you would like to support our mission, find us on Facebook under Faith House Acadiana or our website, faithhouseacadiana.com. On behalf of the survivors and children we serve, thank you for 39 years of care for those hurting in our community.
Plenty of clear skies out there in the afternoon. A little bit of patchy fog this morning. Should not be as dense as it was yesterday. Temperatures get up to about 89 degrees. Winds from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight lows tonight going to sit in the 70s. A couple scattered showers on the way for tomorrow, but the bulk of the rainfall holding off until the first half of the day on Friday. Clearing out, though, in time for the weekend. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, taking a look at the traffic board this morning. We're showing an incident northwest of Angelin Thruway and northwest Patent Thruway. Be careful in that area. Current temperature 64 degrees. A little hazy out there this morning, not nearly as bad as it was yesterday. Friendly voices you hear on the radio this morning are Tracy Wirtz and Mark Pope. Thank you for joining us. We will talk more about the protests coming up at about 6:50 this morning. We'll talk to Fox News' Ryan Schmeltz, who is on Capitol Hill. And we'll talk to him about what the House, what Congress is looking at doing, and members of Joe Biden's cabinet and so forth and so forth, and so on, because it is becoming an increasing problem as more campuses become involved. This week, Tulane is having issues with protesters and encampments and having to shut buildings. So that's coming up about 6:50 this morning. Mark, first ever legislative session this year, the special session, was to redraw the congressional maps.
Yeah.
And as we watched that process go through, you and I said, Moon said, Joe said,
everybody
who's, well, rational and reasonable
and pays attention.
Yeah, pretty much. Said, this is gerrymandering. How do you, what? How does this happen? Well, a federal judge agreed. According to the Associated Press, this is the story. A new congressional district map giving Louisiana a second majority black House district was rejected Tuesday by a panel of 3 federal judges, fueling new uncertainty about district boundaries as the state prepares, of course, for its fall congressional elections. And if you remember, it really affected Garrett Graves' district. Cleo Fields decided to jump into that race if that's the district. Now, as of yesterday's ruling, it essentially prohibits the use of those maps that were adopted earlier this year from being used in future elections. However, there is a meeting on the 6th, which is today's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, Monday. It's in Shreveport at a federal court there to find a, quote, appropriate remedy for this situation, because we are still under a mandate that there be 2 majority black districts.
What's crazy is by one judge says you need to do this. And you say, well, if everybody agrees that it's gerrymandering, why did Governor Jeff Landry sign off on it? He had no choice.
Right.
The only way to legally challenge this, which is where we are now, is for it to go through that process.
Right.
And so the governor knew, and Attorney General Liz Murrill, who, by the way, is doing an outstanding job. Thank goodness we have her in there. She knew, and she said right from the get-go, we're going to challenge this.
Yeah,
and
but it had to be in effect before.
That's correct.
An appeal of Tuesday's ruling, yesterday's, in the U.S. Supreme Court is likely. Meanwhile, the ruling means continued uncertainty over this was interesting, over what the November election map will look like. State election officials, so Nancy Landry's office, has said they need to know the district boundaries by May 15th. And the sign-up period for the fall elections in Louisiana is in mid-July. Now, the questions in my mind, and the answers may be here, is if the ruling stands and the map that is in place right now, where it doesn't change Garrett Graves' district, doesn't change anything in Baton Rouge in terms of the districting, et cetera, if that goes if that stays in effect for the November elections, and for some reason a challenge to this ruling is overturned, will it affect who stays in those positions.
Yeah.
And then any other map following only go into effect for subsequent elections.
If they, within 15 days, Tracy, you're saying deadline of May 15th. If you do that, you're going to massively confuse the electorate.
Yep.
Massively. And you're going to have people going in unprepared saying, well, no, that's not my district. So I don't know. Rushing this through seems to me to be a very unwise decision.
Yeah. Well, state election officials, they need to know. And when I read this, I hearkened back to a conversation that we had with Louis Perrette because we asked him, these mail-in ballots and the ballots when you walk into the voting booth, you have all these people who jumped off, right? And they jumped off months before,
right?
But they still ended up on the ballot. And
right.
He said it has to do with the printing of the ballot, the preparation, the mechanics, that sort of thing. And largely because ballots need to be mailed out. Overseas to military members, to citizens who might be living there for specific reasons, for work or whatever. They still are Americans, but maybe their work. I mean, I have a few friends who have gone to work in places like Hong Kong, or in South Korea. And those areas, they were still Americans working for American companies that just had headquarters there.
Right.
So they were allowed to vote. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with all of this, but it certainly was good to see that, hey, somebody recognized that this is gerrymandering, and last we checked, that's illegal.
Yep.
KPEL News Time is 8:46. We'll visit with Fox News' Ryan Schmeltz about the protests coming up.
Democracy 24.
These two have shared a debate stage before, and after steering clear of any commitment for months, President Biden told Howard Stern that he's open to it.
Can I tell you a fantasy I had? I don't know if you're going to debate your opponent.
I am somewhere. I don't know when. I'm happy to debate him.
And though he skipped Republican primary debates, a former President Trump says, bring it on.
We're willing to do it Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, or Friday night on national television. We're ready. Just tell me where. We'll do it at the White House. That would be very comfortable, actually. But you tell me where. But we're ready.
A recent Fox News poll shows that 72% of voters think it shows weakness if a presidential candidate refuses to debate. The Commission on Presidential Debates has already selected locations and dates for 3 presidential debates, but that doesn't mean they'll actually happen. In Washington, Doug Lucey, Fox News.
I've been thinking about a couple of years ago where every 3 or 4 months I had to go to the hospital to get one of those epidural injections. If you've suffered with back pain and sought medical treatment for it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, sometimes they helped and they were wonderfully effective. Other times they didn't. And I just had to deal with it. I had to figure out ways to manage it, whether it was laying on a heating pad or eating Advil like it was candy. And I became a client of the Good Feet store in December, and I haven't had to go to the doctor as frequently. I haven't had to have any of the epidural injections because not only are those not fun, they interrupt life. The Good Feet store really has been a game changer for me. Has it cured every pain that I have? Absolutely not. But I don't deal with back pain every single day like I did prior to becoming a client of the Good Feet store. Go by the Good Feet store today. This could be the answer that you are looking for. Go by today. The Good Feet store, Ambassador Caffrey, right next to Chicken Salad Chip.
Bikers Against Child Abuse, BACA, exists with the intent to create a safer environment for abused children. We exist as a body of bikers to empower children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. We stand ready to lend support to our wounded friends by involving them with an established, united organization. If you'd like to know more about BACA, please visit our website at bacaworld.org or call 1-866-71-ABUSE.
Hi, I'm Dale Brown, best-selling techno-thriller author. I'm also a mission pilot and squadron commander in the Civil Air Patrol. The members of the Civil Air Patrol are volunteer professionals who serve their communities and their nation every day with emergency services, aerospace education, and cadet programs. We train hard, we fly hard, and we get the job done for America. Join the Civil Air Patrol. Visit www.gocivilairpatrol.com and let's go flying.
Mostly sunny skies across Acadiana by the afternoon, with temperatures getting to about 89 degrees. Winds will be from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and overnight lows are going to be getting down into the 70s. A look ahead. Through the rest of the week, we've got a couple spotty showers on the way for tomorrow, but a bulk of the rainfall holding off until Friday. Friday morning looks like we'll see some heavy downpours out there and a couple thunderstorms. Severe weather doesn't look likely at this time, but that could certainly change. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
All right, it is 64 degrees. Thank you so much for that, Daniel. KPEL News Time is 6:51. And as we mentioned, Ryan Schmeltz with Fox News on the line with us. Good morning, Ryan. Did I say your name correctly?
Say it one more time. Let me hear it.
Ryan Schmeltz.
That's good enough.
Oh, well, I want to get it right, you know. My last name is Wirtz with a Z at the end, and folks just don't always get that right either. On to more serious news, Ryan, the leading news nationally and even locally here in Louisiana, because Tulane is involved, are the student protests. You were there when Education Secretary Cardona testified yesterday at a hearing?
I was paying attention to it, yes, and I was also following the plan that Speaker Johnson rolled out in terms of how they plan on cracking down on anti-Semitism from a House Republican standpoint.
Tell us first, what did Secretary Cardona have to say about the protests?
Well, he took a pretty hard stance that the administration does not support anti-Semitism and that it's not going to be tolerated. And I think also he took some questions on whether the Biden administration would support the idea of rejecting government funding for some of these universities if they're found to be in violation of the Civil Rights Act. And so he did say, yes, if they're in violation of Title VI, which just prohibits discrimination based off of race or nation of origin and some other aspects like that, then yes, they would be rejecting government funding for or revoking government funding for schools like Columbia. Now, whether or not they have found that or there's going to be anything like that happening, it remains to be seen. But he did say that there is an open investigation into Columbia right now.
Right. Now, you were talking about Speaker Johnson's announcement yesterday about the crackdown. What do you know about that? Of course, let me preface it for our audience who are very aware, but Speaker Mike Johnson is a representative from Louisiana. So what is his stance?
Right. So based off what Johnson said yesterday, they have a number of committee chairs who are going to be taking action, and it includes the Judiciary Committee sending letters to Secretaries Blinken as well as Mayorkas. So you have the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security involved here, where they're going to be asking them about the number of students on a visa who've engaged in, quote, radical activity, if there's been a request to have the visas revoked, if they found that. And then if they find out that there's been a request to revoke those visas and they've engaged in radical activity, if removal proceedings have started with those said students. There's also a push by the Education and Workforce Committee to have the presidents of Yale, UCLA, as well as Michigan appear before the committee at a hearing sometime in May.
On what grounds?
How they're handling anti-Semitism on campus. Right. And I think that's going to get even more interesting with UCLA, considering the what has happened overnight there.
Yeah, and what we found here, and maybe you can speak to this, but what in a letter this morning that the Tulane president, of course, Tulane University in New Orleans, he released a letter this morning talking about the encampment that's been set up there. And interestingly, he said the overwhelming majority of the protesters, I'm quoting here, are unaffiliated with the Tulane community. So it sounds like a lot of them don't even go to school there. They just decided this is where we want to stage the protest.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think that's a shocker to hear that, because we've had that theory floated around here by a number of Republicans, and I think even some Democrats may have said that too, where they believe that there are a number of outside agitators coming to these campuses. And with this issue in particular, you know, there are a lot of organizations that are very well organized that organize a lot of protests and demonstrations like this. You see it here on Capitol Hill all the time, as we've seen a number of committee hearings you've probably seen get interrupted by these pro-Palestinian protesters who are trying to make a statement. So I don't think it's a major shock to hear that this is something that's being raised by a university president.
Right, absolutely. Ryan, thank you so much, and we know you'll stay on top of the situation for us. It was good to talk to you this morning. Again, thank you.
Of course. Let's do it again sometime soon, please.
Absolutely. Have a great day, Ryan.
You too. See ya.
That is Ryan, and I guess I said his name wrong, but Schmelz. It's spelled Schmelz. Anyway, and yes, he is 100% right. Mike Johnson did hold a press conference yesterday at a specific university. You found out, huh, Mark?
Mm-hmm. I believe he was at the Capitol Hill.
Oh, he wasn't. Yeah, and I'm noticing the picture here.
Colleagues.
Right, and let me tell you, they are issuing these statements from the Education and Workforce Committee, as he mentioned, Science, Space and Technology, Energy and Commerce, Judiciary, Ways and Means, Oversight Committee. So they are taking a hard stance on anti-Semitism across college campuses, how they react to that, what they do, the way that they question these university presidents. All of that hopefully will result in these encampments being taken down, and the universities responding accordingly, meaning they stop these anti-Semitism acts. KBEL News Time, 6:57.
Fox Business Report is brought to you by Gulf Coast Bank, your local community bank. Whether your financial needs are for an individual, a business, or for the whole family, Gulf Coast Bank has the knowledge and products to serve you best. With 9 convenient locations throughout Acadiana, you're never far from a friendly Gulf Coast Bank associate.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Johnson & Johnson just unveiled a new plan to settle lawsuits accusing it of injuries caused by its products containing talc. The settlement includes J&J paying roughly $11 billion to various groups of plaintiffs. The plan includes $6.5 billion paid over 25 years to those who say they developed ovarian cancer after using J&J's talc products. Shares of chemical giant DuPont are up more than 3% after an upbeat quarter. DuPont is a tech supplier seeing strong demand for chips. Amazon shares are up more than 2% after its better than expected quarter. Amazon will be spending on artificial intelligence. The Federal Reserve wraps up its meeting today. Chair Jerome Powell is expected to signal the Fed will keep interest rates higher for longer. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jim Coselda, invested in you.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now, and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette.
This is a Fox News Alert. Campus chaos coast to coast. I'm Dave Anthony. That's when Los Angeles police finally showed up at UCLA early this morning, 3 hours after clashes broke out.
About 150 to 200 pro-Israel demonstrators arrived to face off with the people that are barricaded in the pro-Palestine encampment because they put up wooden pallets, boards, plywood, 2x4s, chairs, metal. The face-off got extremely violent. We saw people with some severe head injuries, people using metal bats.
That's Gigi Graciette with Fox 11 TV in L.A. In New York City, Columbia called the police.
NYPD does not use tear gas. Okay, we use distraction devices.
Assistant Commissioner Carlos Nieves, officers stormed the campus building late last night, clearing out the students who had taken it over. They also cleared an tent encampment.
Student protesters were arrested just behind this campus gate here at Columbia University. Droves of them were then brought out to NYPD correctional buses.
Fox's CB Cotton.
And just before midnight, the NYPD cleared out a pro-Palestinian encampment at City College of New York. A spokesperson says at least 25 people there were arrested.
They've also been clearing out an encampment at Tulane in New Orleans, and protests have closed the campus at Portland State in Oregon. Former President Trump's calling on the violence to end immediately, urging President Biden to do something as Secretary of State Antony Blinken holds talks in Israel today trying to broker a ceasefire in Gaza. It's an off day at the Trump criminal trial, so the former president will campaign in Michigan and Wisconsin. Vice President Harris will go to Florida to speak out against the new law that took effect today, banning most abortions at 6 weeks of pregnancy.
Florida joins Georgia and South Carolina as southern states with 6-week bans, though Florida voters will be asked to approve or reject a state constitutional amendment this fall, which is written to prevent the restrictions.
That's Fox's Evan Brown. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5 a.m. plumbing disasters, finding out why water is pouring from the ceiling, replacing a pipe in a home from the 1800s, then dealing with invoices or your awkward apprentice or that really weird smell, and then there's breathing and eating and, of course, clogs. But the easiest thing on any small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you could save on the business insurance that's right for you. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliate.
Your 24/7 news source. On air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wertz with a look at news on this Wednesday, May 1st. A federal court has thrown out Louisiana's congressional map, calling it, quote, an impermissible racial gerrymander, and says it does not meet Equal Protection Clause requirements. The ruling means the map, adopted by the legislature earlier this year, cannot be used in any future elections. A status conference to find an appropriate remedy is scheduled for next week. The Louisiana House is expected to vote today on legislation that would result in the state holding a constitutional convention starting on May 20th and ending as early as June 3rd. A constitutional convention would let 171 delegates, most of them state lawmakers, make significant changes to the state's constitution that would require voter approval on November 5th. A 2/3 vote is needed in the House for the constitutional convention proposal to advance to the Senate. Pro-Palestinian protests continue on the campus of Tulane University in New Orleans. The protests ramped up on Monday when demonstrators began setting up an encampment on school grounds. Several people were arrested. On Tuesday morning, Tulane closed some buildings on campus due to the demonstration. The federal government may be reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The proposal would not legalize marijuana outright for recreational use. Rather, it would be an acknowledgement that cannabis has less potential for abuse than other dangerous drugs. Currently, marijuana falls in the Schedule 1 drug classification, the same as heroin and LSD. The proposal would reclassify it as Schedule 3 with drugs like ketamine and anabolic steroids. Following a public comment period and judicial review, the DEA would publish the final rule. Schedule 3 drugs are still controlled, and trafficking in them would still result in criminal prosecution. Legislation to better define gun-free zone laws pertaining to parade routes advanced from House Criminal Justice. New Orleans Representative Mandy Landry's bill clarifies that guns are not permitted within 100 feet of the center line of a parade route, and it would not apply to law enforcement. A vote of 8-5 sent the measure to the full House. The Alliance Defending Freedom has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Rapides Parish School District over the new Title IX rules. The suit was filed against the United States Department of Education and the Biden administration and calls the new rules a radical rewriting of federal law. A release about the lawsuit asserts that it forces schools to embrace a controversial gender ideology that harms children. Good news for the national championship LSU gymnastics team. Top gymnast Haley Bryant is returning for a 5th year. Bryant also won the NCAA All-Around Championship, and she is the all-time perfect 10 leader in LSU history with 18. Bryant says she talked it over with family, coaches, and teammates, and she wasn't ready for it to end. That's a look at your news. I'm Tracy Wertz. Your KPEL News Update brought to you by Home Furniture Plus Bedding, with over 40,000 furniture and mattress choices in stock and ready for delivery. Home Furniture Plus Bedding. Welcome home.
Plenty of clear skies out there in the afternoon. A little bit of patchy fog this morning. Should not be as dense as it was yesterday. Temperatures get up to about 89 degrees. Winds from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight lows tonight going to sit in the 70s. A couple scattered showers on the way for tomorrow, but the bulk of the rainfall holding off until the first half of the day on Friday. Clearing out, though, in time for the weekend. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
We have an accident, Ambassador Caffrey at Frimbustani Parkway. Another one on Ambassador at Ridge, or that's actually a stalled vehicle. So be careful in those areas. Those stalled vehicles can really lock up traffic. Current temperature is 64 degrees. KPEL News Time, 7:09.
Oh, say, can you sing by the dawn's early light? What's so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets circling, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the whole outlaw?
Good morning and welcome into Acadiana's Morning News on the first day of May. It is Wednesday, and that means Mayor's Minutes, and which, by the way, Mark Rigsby, who works with Broussard Mayor Ray Bork, he came up with that name, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's nice to know I don't have to do all the thinking, which is dangerous. I'm just going to warn you.
He acknowledges, hey, but by the way, the mayor and Mark Rigsby work for the people, and they will tell you that. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right, Mayor?
That's right. That's right. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, a quick funny story. Years ago, and this was years ago, a city councilman, and I won't tell you where that particular city is, made the mistake of telling city workers, "You work for me." And I'm like, well, you work for me. So how about we be nice? Anyway, I take that really seriously, but you do too. And you really work, Mayor Bork, to serve the people of Broussard. The state capital outlay grant for the city of Broussard. Tell us about that.
Well, we've been working that pretty rigorously lately. And so actually what it is during the state session, cities like Broussard have an opportunity to target projects within our hometown and try to get the state to participate with funding. There's always a 25% match on our part of it, skin in the game, right?
Yeah.
And we have to show that they're real projects. So we're pleased that it's been going well for us this year. And our target is to bolster our water system as well as some road infrastructure. We would like to add 2 new water wells to Broussard and some above-ground storage, as well as finish some road projects that we've been working on, like South Bernard, and really get going with the Highway 89 improvement that we're partnered with Youngsville on. These are all really good projects for 2 cities that are growing so well. I mean, Highway 89 is bringing people in and out of both cities. But the water system improvements are really all about more storage, more capacity. The drought last year kind of exposed weaknesses in the water systems all across the state. And we want to make sure that we're prepared for growth and that we're ahead of the curve, which is what we need to be working on, planning for the future, not trying to catch up where we can't handle the growth.
Let me go back, because we have listeners that, throughout Acadiana, and maybe they haven't been to Broussard in a while. So let me ask you this. I told you I went, 18 or so months ago, hadn't been to Broussard in a while. It's like, it's gorgeous coming in on 90 with the wider shoulders, the wider sidewalks, the lighting. Just the visual appeal is it's charming. So talk about that, Mayor. How far does that go back? That with that improvements on Main Street, which would be 182, and then talk about that expansion, if you would, up around Highway 90, all that commercial expansion. What are the timelines of those two areas of expansion in Broussard?
Sure. Well, we started. We did the public meetings and the master planning the first year I was mayor, which was I've been there 5 years now. To kind of decide what we were going to do downtown. The city was facing a situation where we knew we had to open things up because we had very old water lines, very old sewer lines, crumbling sidewalks, all of it. And it is a very tough project to do because it's in the heart of your city. It's right in front of school and church and city hall, and it's very inconvenient. So in the master planning, we discovered that what people really wanted was a more beautified downtown. They wanted multi-use paths and biking paths and light up our oak trees and all of that. So that's where that project was born from. So 80% of what we're doing is underground. But that last 20% where we're taking pride in our downtown areas, what people really get excited about, what I'm excited about. So phase 1 is done. That's the entrance into Broussard with the gateway sign. Currently, in front of Arsenal Park, which is a landmark most people know, that is the phase 3 of that project between the railroad tracks and Albertsons Parkway. We have a contractor working on all of that civil engineering work. So they're closing the ditches on both sides right now. Currently, they're moving some utilities. They're going to add some street side parking in preparation to an improvement in Arsenal Park. So that's all happening, and we should be ready to launch the phase 2 project to ask our council to fund it mid-year this year. So in 2 or 3 months, I think that's been very tough to plan for because things are so tight. It's just the very, very heart of Broussard and the main intersection of Morgan and Main. But we should be ready to present plans, work with our council, ask them to fund it, and then go to public bid with this last phase.
Is that why you did phase 3 before phase 2? Because phase 2 is more complicated, maybe a little bit more expensive?
Well, it will be both of those things, more complicated and more expensive, but the planning took longer. It was just more difficult for our civil engineers to get things right in those phases. But I really think doing phase 1 was the right way to start because it was the cheapest and easiest phase to do, but the residents of Broussard were able to see what we're doing. So when we're asking for a little patience to get through construction, they're excited. The conversations years ago were, why are we doing this in some regard? Now the conversation is, when are you going to get to this section?
Right.
We're ready for more of it. And that's what we want. Right? We want people's support. We have to have it. We're not doing the right thing unless our residents support it. So I'm excited to be getting to this last stage of planning and hopefully to try to open up phase 2 into construction this year because it's going to be wonderful to come full circle with downtown Broussard and complete this project.
I like that you guys are keeping that heart. And when you talked about the new water wells, preparing for expansion versus trying to catch up, on Tuesday when we were talking to our realtors, they were talking about time on the market, how the markets are moving, especially in real estate. And of course, Youngsville and Broussard came up because you guys are just a hotbed of growth. What have you seen up until now, and what do you see on the horizon in terms of especially residential growth, but I guess commercial growth as well?
Well, I mean, we are seeing some pretty strong advancement. We've got neighborhoods coming up. We've got, sort of some of the trends right now are neighborhoods that do commercial in the front, like at Albertsons Parkway or at Ambassador Caffrey, which is the way those areas are zoned. but you back up 300 or 400 feet off of that main road, and then you can do residential. So, which protects the city's investment, right? So there are several projects coming that are that would be in that theme. But we've got businesses, renting buildings, moving into Broussard. We're trying to sell the city every day. And having a downtown, like the comment Mark made, I hear this all the time. I haven't been to Broussard in a long time, or I've never been to Broussard, and I drive in, and I can't believe how beautiful it is. That helps me sell, right? I am trying to compete against other cities to bring that business, bring those jobs, bring that tax revenue to Broussard, and it really works well. So it's not just quality of life, it's also economic development. And it really helps us to sell the city when first impressions are good.
Well, we're going to have more of a discussion about economic development and some accolades to the city of Broussard coming up. Our Mayor's Minutes continues with Broussard Mayor Ray Bork after our break. KPEL News Time 7:19.
The loudest voices on the biggest issues.
We're listening to your concerns, and that's why it's so important for us to say that we hear you.
News Talk 96.5, KPEL. Depend on it.
Mostly sunny skies across Acadiana by the afternoon, with temperatures getting to about 89 degrees. Winds will be from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and overnight lows are going to be getting down into the 70s. A look ahead through the rest of the week, we've got a couple spotty showers on the way for tomorrow, but a bulk of the rainfall holding off until Friday. Friday morning looks like we'll see some heavy downpours out there and a couple thunderstorms. Severe weather doesn't look likely at this time, but that could certainly change. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5, KPEL. Right now, traffic.
Still showing that accident, Ambassador Caffrey at Frem Bustani Parkway. That's near Lourdes and right near St. Thomas More. Other than that, not much showing up on the screen. Current temperature is 64 degrees. KPEL News Time is 7:23 on this Wednesday, May the 1st. Tracy Wirtz, Mark Pope, and our Mayor's Minutes this morning. Broussard Mayor Ray Bork joining us, and we were talking about economic development, business growth specifically in the city of Broussard. And we know that companies or cities compete all the time to try to bring in more businesses because
we do.
The trickle down obviously improves life for citizens.
Absolutely.
In that particular area. I know that you and some of your staff have participated in different workshops to find ways to make your city more attractive to business and industry, especially, businesses, the bigger box stores, because a lot of times that will follow that. I mean, there's a
That's
myriad,
all true.
There's just a myriad of businesses that you could attract to your town. Have you guys... You know a lot of the strengths, but have you determined what the areas of improvement might be that you started looking at and are like, man, I didn't even think about that?
Well, no, that's right. It's so a few years ago, I think 2 years ago, Broussard went through the Louisiana Development Ready Community Program, which is a program that Louisiana Economic Development sponsors. We were accredited as the 47th city to get that certification. That process brought you through basically a SWOT analysis for the city. It was strengths and weaknesses. Where can you improve? It was public engagement. Emails were sent out. Surveys were sent out. And all that information came back and got collected so we could have that report. That report gets reviewed once a year, and it gets refreshed. And it gives us a platform to work from. One of the weaknesses that I remember coming out in the first program was that many of our residents wanted more sidewalks, multi-use paths. They wanted accessibility to be able to go from point A to point B without getting in a car. And, connecting neighborhoods, those kind of things. So we've been working on that since then. We've been putting some sidewalks up South Bernard Road, certainly the downtown areas, getting all the sidewalks. And if you go 6 feet or wider, it's a multi-use path. You can bike and walk on it, which is preferable to us, and it's what we've been installing in the city. And it's just a safer route for pedestrians and cyclists, and going from one neighborhood to the next. So that is an ongoing structure, and we will continue to do that with the Louisiana Development Ready group. They come down and visit us once a year, and they kind of get us to refresh our program, and it's been beneficial.
Right. Now, as I think about Broussard, and you'll have to help me out here, the area, would it be west of 90? On that side, is that it's on the other side?
On the other side of 90,
you know what I'm talking about?
Where Garber Road is.
No, I'm talking about across the same side as the zoo.
Okay, yes.
Okay, on the other side. As even coming over that overpass, I think about that area. I know that some of it has grown out, but you have a lot of area for growth in those areas, right?
We do, and at some point, Broussard transitions from Lafayette Parish into St. Martinville Parish in that area along Highway 90. There's a lot of growth opportunity. We've certified some sites in that area. Safe Source Coming was on our very first certified site, so that is an LED program also to help you attract manufacturers.
Right.
Those programs are all about jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 6 certified sites in Broussard right now, and we absolutely are trying to work that program because bringing jobs to a community is something that's generally healthy. So we want to grow our own economy and participate in that at every level. The industrial side of Broussard is really our strength. Highway 90, now it's starting to turn into I-49, and we're very pleased for that. The construction can be a little bit of a headache, but the end result is going to be well worth it.
Well, that sounds good. We're going to talk about some of Broussard's celebrations, reasons to be happy. You have a few of them that we'll let folks know about if they don't already. We are visiting with Broussard Mayor Ray Bork. During our Mayor's Minutes, we're going to take a break, take a look at some local news and weather and traffic. We'll be right back. KPEL News Time 728.
KPEL covers Acadiana with Lowry's Printing and Copying.
The 27th Annual Sunset Urban Garden Festival is Saturday, May 4th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Marie Street in Sunset. That's across from the old Sunset High School. Native plants and flowers, ferns and tropicals, vegetables and herbs. There's educational opportunities, over 100 vendors, and children's activities. Also, Le Jardin des Enfants, the children's garden. Get more details, call Susie Brunet at 337-322-0129. The Lafayette Genealogical Society has Genealogy 101, a free workshop and roundtable Saturday, May 4th, beginning at 9:30 a.m. at the Lafayette Public Library in downtown Lafayette. Learn all about genealogy and ask your questions and meet other people with an interest in genealogy. To find out about more meetings, go to lalgs.org.
This is House Call for Health. Health experts are warning about tiny but dangerous insects that are making a comeback. Doctors say ticks are beginning to pop back up in the warmer months in wooded areas or places with tall grass. Ticks are known to spread diseases like Lyme disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever. People who are spending time in areas where ticks are present are advised to wear tick repellent as well as long sleeves and pants. Doctors also say the best way to remove ticks is by using tweezers and to clean the area of the bite to prevent infection. Health experts warn to be on the lookout for common symptoms such as fever, chills, aches, and rashes. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention saying early diagnosis and antibiotic treatment of Lyme disease is important and that some symptoms continue even after treatment. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
This hour brought to you by Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management. Online at MatthewJames.com.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wertz with a look at news on this Wednesday, May 1st. A federal court has thrown out Louisiana's congressional map, calling it, quote, an impermissible racial gerrymander, and says it does not meet Equal Protection Clause requirements. The ruling means the map, adopted by the legislature earlier this year, cannot be used in any future elections. A status conference to find an appropriate remedy is scheduled for next week. The Louisiana House is expected to vote today on legislation that would result in the state holding a constitutional convention starting on May 20th and ending as early as June 3rd. A constitutional convention would let 171 delegates, most of them state lawmakers, make significant changes to the state's constitution that would require voter approval on November 5th. A two-thirds vote is needed in the House for the constitutional convention proposal to advance to the Senate. The federal government may be reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The proposal would not legalize marijuana outright for recreational use. Rather, it would be an acknowledgement that cannabis has less potential for abuse than other dangerous drugs. Currently, marijuana falls in the Schedule I drug classification, the same as heroin and LSD. The proposal would reclassify it as Schedule III with drugs like ketamine and anabolic steroids. Following a public comment period and judicial review, the DEA would publish the final rule. Schedule III drugs are still controlled, and trafficking in them would still result in criminal prosecution. Legislation to better define gun-free zone laws pertaining to parade routes advanced from House Criminal Justice. New Orleans Representative Mandy Landry's bill clarifies that guns are not permitted within 100 feet of the center line of a parade route, and it would not apply to law enforcement. A vote of 8-5 sent the measure to the full House. The Alliance Defending Freedom has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Rapides Parish School District over the new Title IX rules. The suit was filed against the United States Department of Education and the Biden administration and calls the new rules a radical rewriting of federal law. A release about the lawsuit asserts that it forces schools to embrace a controversial gender ideology that harms children. Pro-Palestinian protests continue on the campus of Tulane University in New Orleans. The protests ramped up on Monday when demonstrators began setting up an encampment on school grounds. Several people were arrested. On Tuesday morning, Tulane closed some buildings on campus due to the demonstration. In 2023, the state of Louisiana logged 721 fraud complaints from people over the age of 60. As a result, criminals have stolen more than $18 million. That's according to the FBI's elder fraud data. Nationally, the incidence of fraud involving people 60 and older rose 11% over 2022. Anyone who falls victim to fraudsters is asked to submit a complaint through the FBI's intelligence gathering platform, ic3.gov. The Lafayette Parish School System has announced that Ryan Martin has been named principal of Paul Breaux Middle School. Martin has worked in Lafayette Parish schools for 21 years. The 1994 graduate of Northside High served in the United States Marine Corps and holds a bachelor's and master's degree from UL Lafayette. Good news for the national championship LSU gymnastics team. Top gymnast Haley Bryan is returning for a fifth year. Bryant also won the NCAA All-Around Championship, and she is the all-time perfect 10 leader in LSU history with 18. Bryant says she talked it over with family, coaches, and teammates, and she wasn't ready for it to end. That's a look at your news. I'm Tracy Ward.
Plenty of clear skies out there in the afternoon. A little bit of patchy fog this morning. Should not be as dense as it was yesterday. Temperatures get up to about 89 degrees. Winds from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight lows tonight going to sit in the 70s. A couple scattered showers on the way for tomorrow, but the bulk of the rainfall holding off until the first half of the day on Friday. Clearing out, though, in time for the weekend. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
We have an accident at Aqueduct at Johnston Street. That is, I've never heard of that. That is not far from West Broussard Road. That's on Johnston Street headed south. So be careful. That could cause some slowdowns this morning. Hazy. Not as cloudy as it or foggy as it was yesterday, 64 degrees. KPEL News Time is 7:39 on this Wednesday morning. Each Wednesday in the 7 o'clock hour, we visit with our Lafayette Parish mayors and for Mayor's Minutes. And this week, we've got Broussard Mayor Ray Bork in with us. Now let's toot your own horn, if you will. Give a shout out to the folks over in Broussard. You recently earned first place in the Cleanest City contest. Tell us about that.
We did, and we were very happy to get that award in our region.
Right,
so we took first place in our region. We were This is a contest that is put on by the Louisiana Garden Club.
Mm-hmm.
So they came out, they spent an afternoon with us, and they wanted to see certain areas. They had a list of criteria. And not long after they left, we got the phone call that we had taken first place, which moved us up to the state level of Cleanest City. They came back about 2 weeks later. We did the same thing, a different group of judges, and we're awaiting the news to see how we placed at the state level.
Well, let us know as soon as you find out.
We will. And, quality of life, we want to have that clean city. I think last time I was here, we had the conversation about the Toyota factory that didn't come. Because
we talked about it again yesterday.
Right, and that's a story that resonates with people, I think. But it's quality of life for our residents, but it's also economic development. It helps me sell the city when people drive in and say, wow, it's clean. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
I've looked at your school system. I've looked at all of these other things, and y'all are doing great, but I'm impressed just by being here.
Right. Quick testimony, all right? So I worked for the Lafayette Consolidated Government for a long time, 27 years. Back to Mayor Charles Longland.
Yes.
You've always had community pride.
Yes.
The mayor called me. We talked. He said, Mark, we need to do a cleanup. And we did, all right? And then when I said 18 months ago, when I was passing through Broussard, I was riding my motorcycle early on a Sunday morning, and it was more like 3 years ago. And I'm coming in, and there's a resident walking on those big, beautiful, broad sidewalks. Guess what? There's some dang litter there. So that pedestrian picks that dang litter up.
Wow,
and that's
wonderful.
what it takes. Pick it up when you can. And to the folks out there driving, please don't throw it down, because this notion that there's a government employee that's paid to pick that up, that is not true. You inconvenience the local government and the residents who have to look at the mess you made. It's just not fair. So please, don't throw stuff out. Keep it in the car. When you get to where you're going, then properly dispose of it.
Well said. And it is all about, we have to cut the grass, right?
Yeah.
The fundamental things when we have to pick up the litter. We have to do all of these things that are helping our city to be more attractive. But we live there, so why wouldn't we want it to be as attractive as possible? And it's good habits go a long way. I mean, we're lucky in this parish to have Parish Proud going on. We do a Broussard Proud version of that, which means we get out every so often and we do litter pickup days, but it's about awareness. The scouts come out and help us, and we get residents that come volunteer their time. And it's really about that awareness to try to build good habits and make sure that we're broadcasting that it's important to have a good city. We're all willing to get to, pitch in, roll up our sleeves and pitch in.
And, those of us of a certain age remember a time when Louisiana was not known for being so clean. And then, of course, Keep Louisiana Beautiful, that initiative came in. As a matter of fact, there is a bill right now in the legislature to add a $6 fee onto driver's licenses to fund that so that we can do that statewide. But I think that our mayors have really done a good job of leading that effort and encouraging it. So congratulations on the win, and we'll be looking forward to hearing how it goes from here on out.
Yep, go Broussard.
Another thing that it was announced, I think, earlier this week, Mark, or late last week, was the aquatic wheelchairs.
Yes.
For people who don't know what that is, tell us what they are and why.
So today, May 1st, our splash pad at St. Julian Park is going to open, and we're doing a ceremony later this afternoon with the local Kiwanis Club of Broussard and Youngsville, and accepting a donation from them of 2 aquatic wheelchairs. So it's all about making sure that we have accessibility for children of all abilities. I love the Kiwanis mission to improve the lives of children anywhere, and they have been a good partner with us, and I'm so pleased that they were able to make this donation. And so we'll accept the chairs, We'll put it on our website as a free rental so that parents can reserve the chairs when they want to use them, and then our staff will make sure that they're ready when they arrive. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And finally, next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. You guys have something fun planned.
We do. So we partner with our local police department, fire department, and we work the car line and we get breakfast donated for the teachers, breakfast and coffee. So I got a shout out to the businesses of Broussard that are supplying the breakfasts and coffee. PJ's Coffee, Richie's Why Not Stop, and McDonald's run by Miller Management. We're happy to help us with this initiative. So we'll go out, we'll work the car line. The teachers can kick back and kind of take a few minutes for themselves. And last Monday, we were at St. Cecilia in that terrible weather, and they really appreciated us being there that day. But I have to tell you, that's, as mayor, that's one of the best days, one of the best times you can have, because you're doing something really good for the community, and you're seeing the smiles on people's faces, and you're seeing the parents and the kids that you already know. So it's really good. So next week, Monday, we'll be at Broussard Middle. We'll be at Catherine Drexel Tuesday and Marshall Beal on Wednesday. So
everybody gets the love.
Make sure you tell your local teacher that you appreciate them. They're working hard and doing good work in the community.
And y'all have a contingent. It's like you and the fire. And
me and the police chief and the fire department and the fire chiefs are there and some of the workers and the kids are telling us what we're doing wrong, and it's great. We're doing.
Of course, they are. And finally, go ahead and let folks know about your app and what is available on that.
Sure, please go to the App Store and download the Discover Broussard app. So if you're looking for a place to eat or a special that's going on at a retail shop in Broussard or a way to spend an afternoon or a day in Broussard, it's all available there. So a lot of the local businesses run their specials here, and it gives you a list. I use it just to, sometimes we're looking for something different to eat tonight, and I can be reminded.
If there's a business that is not on the app or wants to be added or whatever, how do they do that?
Reach out to my office at City Hall. I will connect you with the right person, and we will get you on that app.
So, to Mayor Bork and Mark Rigsby, I have seen news releases coming out of Broussard City Hall about, quote, coffee with the mayor.
Yes.
Am I recalling correctly? Is that a regularly scheduled thing, Mayor?
It is. Once a month. I believe it's the third Friday of every month, or the fourth is the last Friday. I'm sorry. The last Friday of every month, we do coffee at a local place in Broussard. So, and the only requirement is they have to have breakfast because...
Right.
So it's coffee with the mayor and chiefs, the fire chiefs, the police chiefs, myself, and we get out there and we spend 90 minutes having breakfast, drinking coffee, networking with people, talking about all things Broussard. And it's an enjoyable experience. And we learn so much because people come in and talk to us and let us know about a little issue they might be having, or they compliment us on some other project, and it helps guide the way we're doing our work.
Third Friday, Mark?
Fourth Friday.
Last Friday.
Yeah.
So that would
well,
be
sometimes there's 5 Fridays in a month, though.
That would be
so is it always the last?
It's going to be towards the end of the
Toward the ends of the
I think
day
it's the
again.
31st.
I know I have to throw a fly
right.
in the ointment for you, Mark.
3 and 28 is 31. So anyway, we'll get the word out for your next coffee with the mayor in Broussard.
And we do advertise that on our social media pages. So if you follow the mayor's Facebook page or the city's, you're going to see those events come up. You're going to see our litter pickup. You're going to see anything we're doing community based on those pages. So give us a follow if you're interested in things going on in Broussard and engaging with us. We can use your help. We're always looking for volunteers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Broussard Mayor Ray Bork, thank you so much for joining us today. We certainly appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. And we will see you next month. I think at this time next month, all the children are going to be out of school, too.
Oh, wow.
I know. Just a warning, guys.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
KPEL News Time, 7:48.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Depend on it.
Mostly sunny skies across Acadiana by the afternoon, with temperatures getting to about 89 degrees. Winds will be from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and overnight lows are going to be getting down into the 70s. A look ahead. Through the rest of the week, we've got a couple spotty showers on the way for tomorrow, but a bulk of the rainfall holding off until Friday. Friday morning looks like we'll see some heavy downpours out there and a couple thunderstorms. Severe weather doesn't look likely at this time, but that could certainly change. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5. KPEL. Right now, traffic.
Okay, we have an accident, Savoy Road at Railroad Road in Youngsville. Another one, Aqueduct at Johnston. That is just south of West Broussard Road, not far from the McDonald's right there at that intersection. Be careful in those areas if you're slowed down. That's why current temperature is 64 degrees. KPEL News time is 7:53 on this Wednesday morning, May the 1st. Coming up just after 8 o'clock, we will be joined by Lafayette Parish School Superintendent Francis Touchette. So that'll be interesting to find out what's going on at LPSS. Mark, a few things. We've been talking a lot about litter.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday we did, of course, the legislature considering a bill that would add $6 to a driver's license fee. Currently, $1.50 from those fees goes to essentially litter abatement.
Mm-hmm.
Keep Louisiana beautiful, that kind of thing. The lieutenant governor has requested $6 additional when you get your driver's license for litter abatement. And that's Keep Louisiana beautiful. Unfortunately, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't, this would be a non-issue.
Very true. Very true. You were talking about the report litter with 888 Litterbug, LITR.
Mm-hmm.
You don't spell out litter. Easy way to remember it, 888 Litterbug. Now, just because you report, now I'm talking from my years experience back years. It's been 6+ years. They don't go necessarily clean up a dirty road. Hopefully, it's Department of Wildlife and Fisheries.
Right.
And hopefully they report it in whatever parish you report. Say, hey, you got a report of a dirty road on Roger Road.
Or a litter bug. That's what you're reporting people, huh?
Well, they're not going to give a ticket.
Okay.
And when I was there, and it's been some years, they would, if you had dumping like bags, they would go investigate. And if they found evidence in those bags, in other words, the same piece of mail with the same address 5 and 6 times, that indicates that, hey, this is from this particular house at this location. And what they did, I don't know. But look, it's one tool in the tool chest.
Absolutely.
In Lafayette Parish. You can call 311. That was under the Guillory administration. I'm not sure if Mayor Boulay has kept that program. So 888 Litterbug, LITR, Litterbug. You can call. That's the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, or 311 in Lafayette Parish to report littering.
And you should, because you know what? It's just gross. I mean, the world is not your trash can.
That's right.
They make plenty of things to put in your car. And, some of this flies out of back of trucks. So just a word of advice, caution, suggestion, check the back of your truck. If you have pieces of paper and potato chip bags, get those out.
There you go.
KPEL News Time is 7:56. We have a look at national news and local news on the way, and then we talk with Lafayette Parish School Superintendent Francis Touchette.
Democracy 24.
These two have shared a debate stage before, and after steering clear of any commitment for months, President Biden told Howard Stern that he's open to it.
Can I tell you a fantasy I had? I don't know if you're going to debate your opponent.
I am somewhere. I don't know when. I'm happy to debate him.
And though he skipped Republican primary debates, a former President Trump says, bring it on.
We're willing to do it Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, or Friday night on national television. We're ready. Just tell me where. We'll do it at the White House. That would be very comfortable, actually. But you tell me where. But we're ready.
A recent Fox News poll shows that 72% of voters think it shows weakness if a presidential candidate refuses to debate. The Commission on Presidential Debates has already selected locations and dates for 3 presidential debates, but that doesn't mean they'll actually happen. In Washington, Doug Lucey, Fox News.
This Fox Business Report is brought to you by Walter Campbell and Deborah Pierce of Keller Williams Realty. For all of your commercial property needs, reach out to Walter and Deborah today.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The Federal Reserve is meeting today. Stock futures are lower as investors anticipate the Fed keeping interest rates higher for longer. Bitcoin is also slumping ahead of the Fed decision. The price is under 58,000. Bitcoin rose to 73,000 back in March. Kraft Heinz earnings were in line with expectations. It's standing by its forecast for the year, though sales volume declined. CVS Health is cutting its forecast for the year, and the stock is slumping. The drugstore and health insurance company blames the high cost of Medicare Advantage plans. Cruise operator Viking is expected to go public today. The stock is priced at $24 a share at the high end of expectations. The Mortgage Bankers Association says the average for a 30-year fixed mortgage rose to 7.29% last week. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now, and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios.
This is a Fox News alert. The protest turned into a brawl. I'm Dave Anthony. It happened at UCLA. Those pro-Palestinian demonstrators then clashed when Jewish students, fed up with an encampment and harassment, had enough.
Pro-Israel protesters said, university's not going to take it down, we will. And they were met by pepper spray. We were told by some that I talked to here earlier today, boards with nails in them. And on the back you have a rope that you can use it like a shield and pushing people that way. Some injuries occurred, none that we know that were serious, but you could see a lot of people being hit with sticks and bats.
Fox's William Lajeunesse at UCLA, where it took police about 3 hours to show up to stop the fighting. Police cracked down last night in New York City.
We'll do what we always done. We'll get arrested, just like the criminals in the subway. They're always right back out in 24 hours.
There were about 300 arrests at City College and Columbia.
The university called in to the NYPD and said, hey, basically, we can't handle this on our own anymore, and said, we need your help now. We need you to come into Hamilton Hall where these kids are inside, barricading themselves, bringing in food and supplies, and saying they're going to stay till graduation. So we need you guys to come in and take care of this. So they came in and arrested dozens of those students who were inside of Hamilton Hall, and then they also cleared out that Gaza Solidarity encampment.
Fox's Alexis McAdams at Columbia. An encampment also cleared at Tulane in Louisiana this morning amid the many that are on campuses nationwide. Former President Trump calling for an end to campus violence, something he may talk about campaigning in Michigan and Wisconsin on this off day at his criminal trial as Democrats focus on abortion rights.
A Florida law banning abortions in most cases after 6 weeks takes effect today. The result, President Biden says, of former President Trump. Vice President Kamala Harris visits Florida today.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5 a.m. plumbing disasters, finding out why water is pouring from the ceiling, replacing a pipe in a home from the 1800s, then dealing with invoices or your awkward apprentice or that really weird smell, and then there's breathing and eating and, of course, clogs. But the easiest thing on any small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you could save on the business insurance that's right for you. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by...
Your 24/7 news source. On air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wertz with a look at news on this Wednesday, May 1st. A federal court has thrown out Louisiana's congressional map, calling it, quote, an impermissible racial gerrymander, and says it does not meet Equal Protection Clause requirements. The ruling means the map, adopted by the legislature earlier this year, cannot be used in any future elections. A status conference to find an appropriate remedy is scheduled for next week. The Louisiana House is expected to vote today on legislation that would result in the state holding a constitutional convention starting on May 20th and ending as early as June 3rd. A constitutional convention would let 171 delegates, most of them state lawmakers, make significant changes to the state's constitution that would require voter approval on November 5th. A 2/3 vote is needed in the House for the constitutional convention proposal to advance to the Senate. Pro-Palestinian protests continue on the campus of Tulane University in New Orleans. The protests ramped up on Monday when demonstrators began setting up an encampment on school grounds. Several people were arrested. On Tuesday morning, Tulane closed some buildings on campus due to the demonstration. The federal government may be reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The proposal would not legalize marijuana outright for recreational use. Rather, it would be an acknowledgement that cannabis has less potential for abuse than other dangerous drugs. Currently, marijuana falls in the Schedule I drug classification, the same as heroin and LSD. The proposal would reclassify it as Schedule III with drugs like ketamine and anabolic steroids. Following a public comment period and judicial review, the DEA would publish the final rule. Schedule III drugs are still controlled, and trafficking in them would still result in criminal prosecution. Legislation to better define gun-free zone laws pertaining to parade routes advanced from House Criminal Justice. New Orleans Representative Mandy Landry's bill clarifies that guns are not permitted within 100 feet of the center line of a parade route, and it would not apply to law enforcement. A vote of 8-5 sent the measure to the full House. The Alliance Defending Freedom has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Rapides Parish School District over the new Title IX rules. The suit was filed against the United States Department of Education and the Biden administration and calls the new rules a radical rewriting of federal law. A release about the lawsuit asserts that it forces schools to embrace a controversial gender ideology that harms children. Good news for the national championship LSU gymnastics team. Top gymnast Haley Bryant is returning for a 5th year. Bryant also won the NCAA All-Around Championship, and she is the all-time perfect 10 leader in LSU history with 18. Bryant says she talked it over with family, coaches, and teammates, and she wasn't ready for it to end. That's a look at your news. I'm Tracy Wirtz.
Apply.
Plenty of clear skies out there in the afternoon. A little bit of patchy fog this morning. Should not be as dense as it was yesterday. Temperatures get up to about 89 degrees. Winds from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight lows tonight going to sit in the 70s. A couple scattered showers on the way for tomorrow, but the bulk of the rainfall holding off until the first half of the day on Friday. Clearing out, though, in time for the weekend. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
We have an accident West Vermilion and West Lafayette Street. That's in downtown Lafayette. Another one, Savoy Road and Railroad Road in Youngsville. And still showing that accident, Aqueduct near Johnston Street. That's just south of West Broussard, not far from the McDonald's at that intersection. So be careful. You might find some slowdowns in all those areas if they have not been moved off the roadway yet. Warming up quickly. Current temperature 69 degrees. Good morning and welcome back into Acadiana's Morning News on this Wednesday, May the 1st. Tracy Wirtz, Mark Pope joining you. And it is National School Principals Day. How appropriate that we have Lafayette Parish School Superintendent Francis Touchette in with us this morning. Good morning, Francis. How are you?
Good morning, guys.
We also are going to talk a little bit later about Solar Giving Day tomorrow because Lafayette Parish Schools, Love Our Schools, is part of that. But first, let's talk about National Principals Day because you told us something walking in that I was like, really? What did you do this morning?
So this morning, in recognizing that it is National Principals Day, I sent an email to all of our principals stating just that. But more importantly, on a personal note, sending an individual text message to all just to explain to them the importance of what they bring to our students every single day. So to all of our principals, to all of them that do things behind the scenes that no one actually sees, we thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being the leaders you are. Lafayette Parish is very blessed to have the leadership it has. And again, big thanks to all.
So you have like a group in your text messages where you just do principals?
Well, believe it or not.
Or did you do it one at a time?
I do individual messages.
Holy cow, how many are there?
There is 48 different principals. That what I do is I go and I say, all right, let me tackle the Youngsville area, and I'll tackle the Broussard area.
Oh my God. So you've been up since like 2:00.
I sit in my car and I just start texting individual messages to all of these different principals. They deserve that. They deserve that individual recognition and knowing that at Lafayette Parish, we appreciate what they do and what they do every single day to make sure that education is happening.
Well, and Francis, just to give folks a little bit of your background, you are an educator and you are also a principal, so you know their challenges.
Yeah. The thing about it is when you sit in the chair of being a principal, you know the struggles, you know the things that it takes to be there. And I always tell our team at central office is that we should always remember that the most important thing that makes a difference in a school is the principal.
Oh, yeah. No, and that's true. And, I come from a family of educators, and people don't understand. It's not just somebody sitting in an office handing out disciplinary issues. I mean, it's physical plant. It's being the CEO of the school and, doing the budgets and making sure that, there are so many things that they deal with that people just have no idea.
Yeah, Tracy. And again, they are the decision makers, and we refer to them as our CEOs. And because, again, it comes down to just like any other business, whether it be academics, operational, dealing with parents, dealing with budgets, they do it all. They do what they have to make sure that plant is running. And we, again, just want to give a big shout out to all of these principals in Lafayette Parish for what they do.
And a congratulations, too, real quickly, to Ryan Martin, who has recently been named a brand new principal.
Yeah, we are extremely, extremely excited about Ryan's acceptance of the position at Paulboro. Ryan has been a person that has worked for us at the district level, has shown a lot of leadership. He has a perfect match to be able to lead Paulboro. He has great instincts about what he needs to do as far as moving that school, and we're truly excited, and the Paulboro community will see great things coming from Mr. Ryan Martin in the 24-25 school year.
So it is National Principals Day. I think it was very nice what you did, those individual texts, but 48 schools, 48 principals. If you called in those principals and said, how do you do it? I would bet you $100 each and every one of those would say, my staff. I have great assistance from, yes, they are the leader, but without the staff. So I'm going to kind of throw you a curveball, Superintendent. Uh-oh. I would guess that the Lafayette Parish school system is in the top 10 ranked by number of employees in Lafayette Parish. Do you know where the school system ranks?
We are within the top 6.
Wow.
We are in the top 6 school districts as far as size, as far as employment, about student count. I'll go back to what you stated earlier, Mark. We're only as good as the people around us. And I mimic that same thing at the district level, that whether it be the secretaries, whether it be the people that are working as far as janitorials, these principals, just as what I look at, they are only as good as those teachers and the people around them. So we truly give them that autonomy to do the things that they have to. And as far as hiring at those sites, we know that, again, when it's all said and done, it's the principal that we're going to go to. It's the principal that we're going to look at. So, again, we are truly, truly blessed to again, have the leadership that we have here in Lafayette Parish. And I'm so thankful on this day that we have just that.
Yeah, so let's celebrate those principals today. They are hard at work, and they certainly have big jobs. Tomorrow is Solar Giving Day. Lafayette Parish School System is participating along with Love Our Schools. Why? Well, we'll find that out after the break. KPEL News Time is 8:15.
Fox on on Tech.
All new U.S. cars will be required to have automatic emergency braking systems by 2029. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration unveiling finalized new regulations. The new rules state that all new U.S. cars and trucks must be sold with automatic emergency braking. AEB sensors hit the brakes to avoid a collision if the driver is not able to do so in time. While AEB is already very common in new vehicles sold in the U.S., the new regulations will save hundreds of lives per year, according to the agency, as well as prevent at least 24,000 injuries and save billions in property damage. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg writing in a press release, quote, "The bipartisan infrastructure law is not only making historic investments in transportation, it's also ushering in a new era of safer travel by ensuring new cars and light trucks are equipped with automatic emergency braking, making our roads safer for drivers and pedestrians alike." With Fox on Tech, I'm Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Mostly sunny skies across Acadiana by the afternoon, with temperatures getting to about 89 degrees. Winds will be from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and overnight lows are going to be getting down into the 70s. A look ahead through the rest of the week, we've got a couple spotty showers on the way for tomorrow, but a bulk of the rainfall holding off until Friday. Friday morning looks like we'll see some heavy downpours out there and a couple thunderstorms. Severe weather doesn't look likely at this time, but that could certainly change. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, still working that accident West Vermilion and West Lafayette Street. That's downtown. Savoy Road and Railroad Road in Youngsville still showing up. And that accident, Aqueduct, is just off Johnston Street, south of West Broussard. Not sure if that's blocking the roadway or if any of them have been moved off, but if you're slowed down, that would be why. Current temperature, 69 degrees. KPEL News Time is 8:19 on this Wednesday, May 1st. It's May Day. It's National Principals Day. Just an opportune time to have Lafayette Parish School Superintendent Francis Touchette in for a visit to talk about education. Now, tomorrow is Solar Giving Day. Why do I say that? Because if you look on the list of organizations, you will see Lafayette Parish School Systems, Love Our Schools. Why? Who wants to take that? Millicent Nugent's in with us. She is with Love Our Schools. And some people are scratching their heads going, what's up with this?
Absolutely. But good morning, everyone. Love Our Schools is obviously very honored for the third year to be a sponsor of Solar Giving Day. And in doing so, our main goal is to have all LPSS schools participate in Solar Giving Day. And why is this so important, right? Because this is a grand opportunity to wrap the community around our schools and to show the individual messaging and needs of the schools that the community can support. So when you go on the Solar Giving Day page and you search for a specific school, whether that's a school that you went to, your kids went to, sits in your neighborhood, maybe where a lot of your workforce has graduated from, you can view what their specific goal is for Solar Giving Day. Mm-hmm. So that could be anything from a capital outlay project. That could be anything from student and teacher incentives. That could be a technology that they're looking to invest in at their school. A wide range of different ways that the community can support.
Okay. Now, so when, let's say I go in, I'm going to just, and I don't have any marriage to any schools, but let's say I select Lafayette High. Mm-hmm. If someone donates to that fund, how will those funds be used?
Well, and again, as Millicent stated, it's going to be based upon the needs of that particular school and what they are looking to. Mm-hmm. Lots of our schools are looking for things that they can help with capital improvements. But a lot of it is to be able to incentivize students and incentivize teachers to be able to give and just say, hey, thank you for what you have done to make sure that our schools are successful. So, again, when we start looking at an opportunity such as this, we are truly blessed to have Love Our Schools as a community partner, someone that is always along our side, whether it be Solar Giving Day or any other avenues that we're looking as far as meeting the needs of our schools. Love Our Schools is there to be able to help Lafayette Parish.
So let me ask Millicent, I always, there are people listening that you said the Love Our Schools, which is a nonprofit organization. Give us the brief overview. What's behind Love Our Schools and how long has it been around?
So thanks for bringing that up, Mark. So Love Our Schools was started in 2019. It was started with the blessings and funding of several family foundations here in Lafayette. And last year, we actually became a 501c3. So now we are our own entity. We're very blessed I'm blessed to be in this position. I have another staff member, Jasmine Jones, and our mission is to wrap our love around the schools, especially when it comes to community engagement. One of our main programs is our CAFE model, stands for Community and Family Engagement. And that is all about creating villages around individual schools, bringing the right stakeholders to the table, whether that's our business owners, our nonprofits, our parents, our teachers. We want to make sure that they are able to assist the principal at that school's goals for the year. So we want to make this a very structured and intentional time, but a way of support. And so, we obviously pass schools daily, but a lot of people don't know what's going on at that individual school, the great things that are happening, the challenges that they may be facing that the community can support. And so by getting involved with Love Our Schools, we are here to connect and provide that type of love and commitment to the schools.
I like that CAFE program.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Sounds
I heard
wonderful.
about that a few years ago, and I thought it was fantastic. Now, a couple of questions. First of all, when folks go to the Solar Giving Day website, it's solargivingday.org, by the way, and they search for Lafayette High or Gallette or whatever, pick a school. When they make the donation, it's funded through Love Our Schools?
So the donation itself is funneled through the Community Foundation of Acadiana. They are the ones hosting Solar Giving Day. The part that Love Our Schools is participating in with this day is we have covered registration fees for all schools to participate, and we are also providing matching dollars to each of the schools. So the schools have the opportunity to at least have a match of $500. Mm-hmm. Some of them have larger matches than that from Love Our Schools, some of our CAFE schools. And so this is an opportunity for them. Some of our schools have used this opportunity to put in some of their fundraising dollars that they have done throughout the year into their SOLA account, which gets them even closer to their matching goal, right? We don't want any dollars to be missed. And so you can view the matching dollars on each school's page on solargivingday.org. So help them meet that goal, at least get that match, because that's, dollar for dollar, right? And we don't want them to miss that opportunity. And it also provides you with a great opportunity to learn what those schools have been working on throughout the year. BO Elementary has done a great job of putting in some of their fundraising dollars, and they put an explanation how they were able to raise those dollars. Some of them were from color runs throughout the year, crawfish boils, free dress days, right? Mm-hmm. Every dollar counts, and we just want to make sure that the community is not only learning what's going on in those schools, but is helping. $5 can go a long way. We know Solar Giving Day has several hundreds of organizations participating, but we really want to make sure that people are really focused in on what's going on at our schools and taking this time to support.
So did the schools have to share how they wanted to use? We talked about the different programs, or the things they may use it for, but did they have to share with you guys, this is what we would like to earmark this money for?
Well, all of this is led by the principal. And again, the needs, and they engage with the faculty and engage with what is the needs of that particular school. And we give that autonomy to those principals, that whatever that they are looking to as far as fundraising is concerned, that they have that opportunity to be able to move forward with that.
Mm-hmm. We've done everything but the how. So how do you donate? solargivingday.org, I believe.
Yep.
Yes.
solargivingday.org, and it's intuitive from there. Click here, see all the organizations. You'll see Love Our Schools, and you'll see all the individual schools. So, it's really easy.
And if, don't get overwhelmed when you go there, because everything is listed alphabetically, but you can do a search for a particular school or organization. So that may help you get there quicker.
So I just want to take this time. And again, what we've been talking about is just, it's baffling to me that we have such a thing that is happening in Lafayette Parish. Tracy and Mark, I have been throughout this state, and I've worked with superintendents throughout, and knowing that we have community partners such as Love Our Schools, and knowing their involvement, we look at them as part of our team. They were there to help us, and no doubt without them, the success of Lafayette Parish is not there. So I would just want to thank the founders of Love Our Schools, Dr. Kip Schumacher, Mr. Nick Pugh, Matt Stoller, those guys that were the founders that came around and bringing this together for what they do. Because believe it or not, those guys do not need to do this. Mm-hmm. They do this out of the kindness of their hearts. So a big thanks to them. Thanks to Love Our Schools for giving Lafayette Parish all of this love.
And, and I always think about when you invest anything into the education system, you are investing into your future. And I know that sounds trite, but it is absolutely 100% the truth.
Yeah, one thing that I always love to say that Dr. Schumacher says frequently is our schools are the foundation of our community, right? And so that is something that we need to always keep in mind. And no matter what chapter of life you may be in, whether you have kids in school currently, out of school, you're hoping to grow your family here in Lafayette, support our schools, get involved, reach out to Love Our Schools, reach out to the district. They will connect you with us, and we will find a way that is appropriate for you to get involved. And so that's what our main goal is, community engagement.
We always appreciate your time. Superintendent Francis Touchette with Lafayette Parish Schools. Millicent, a pleasure to see you once again. Good luck on Solar Giving Day, and keep doing what you're doing. And tell all your principals, you don't have to text all of them again, but tell them all we said Happy Principals Day.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate the time.
Yes, sir. Thank
you.
KPEL News Time, 8:29.
KPEL covers Acadiana with Lowry's Printing and Copying.
The 27th Annual Sunset Urban Garden Festival is Saturday, May 4th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Marie Street in Sunset. That's across from the old Sunset High School. Native plants and flowers, ferns and tropicals, vegetables and herbs. There's educational opportunities, over 100 vendors, and children's activities. Also, Le Jardin des Enfants, the children's garden. Get more details, call Susie Brunet at 337-322-0129. The Lafayette Genealogical Society has Genealogy 101, a free workshop and roundtable Saturday, May 4th, beginning at 9:30 a.m. at the Lafayette Public Library in downtown Lafayette. Learn all about genealogy and ask your questions and meet other people with an interest in genealogy. To find out about more meetings, go to lalgs.org.
This is House Call for Health. Health experts are warning about tiny but dangerous insects that are making a comeback. Doctors say ticks are beginning to pop back up in the warmer months in wooded areas or places with tall grass. Ticks are known to spread diseases like Lyme disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever. People who are spending time in areas where ticks are present are advised to wear tick repellent as well as long sleeves and pants. Doctors also say the best way to remove ticks is by using tweezers and to clean the area of the bite to prevent infection. Health experts warn to be on the lookout for common symptoms such as fever, chills, aches, and rashes. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention saying early diagnosis and antibiotic treatment of Lyme disease is important, and that some symptoms continue even after treatment. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
This hour brought to you by Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management. Online at MatthewJames.com.
Your 24/7 news source. On air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Wertz with a look at news on this Wednesday, May 1st. A federal court has thrown out Louisiana's congressional map, calling it, quote, an impermissible racial gerrymander, and says it does not meet Equal Protection Clause requirements. The ruling means the map, adopted by the legislature earlier this year, cannot be used in any future elections. A status conference to find an appropriate remedy is scheduled for next week. The Louisiana House is expected to vote today on legislation that would result in the state holding a constitutional convention starting on May 20th and ending as early as June 3rd. A constitutional convention would let 171 delegates, most of them state lawmakers, make significant changes to the state's constitution that would require voter approval on November 5th. A 2/3 vote is needed in the House for the constitutional convention proposal to advance to the Senate. The federal government may be reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The proposal would not legalize marijuana outright for recreational use. Rather, it would be an acknowledgement that cannabis has less potential for abuse than other dangerous drugs. Currently, marijuana falls in the Schedule I drug classification, the same as heroin and LSD. The proposal would reclassify it as Schedule III with drugs like ketamine and anabolic steroids. Following a public comment period and judicial review, the DEA would publish the final rule. Schedule III drugs are still controlled, and trafficking in them would still result in criminal prosecution. Legislation to better define gun-free zone laws pertaining to parade routes advanced from House Criminal Justice. New Orleans Representative Mandy Landry's bill clarifies that guns are not permitted within 100 feet of the center line of a parade route, and it would not apply to law enforcement. A vote of 8-5 sent the measure to the full House. The Alliance Defending Freedom has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Rapides Parish School District over the new Title IX rules. The suit was filed against the United States Department of Education and the Biden administration and calls the new rules a radical rewriting of federal law. A release about the lawsuit asserts that it forces schools to embrace a controversial gender ideology that harms children. Pro-Palestinian protests continue on the campus of Tulane University in New Orleans. The protests ramped up on Monday when demonstrators began setting up an encampment on school grounds. Several people were arrested. On Tuesday morning, Tulane closed some buildings on campus due to the demonstration. In 2023, the state of Louisiana logged 721 fraud complaints from people over the age of 60. As a result, criminals have stolen more than $18 million. That's according to the FBI's elder fraud data. Nationally, the incidence of fraud involving people 60 and older rose 11% over 2022. Anyone who falls victim to fraudsters is asked to submit a complaint through the FBI's intelligence gathering platform, ic3.gov. The Lafayette Parish School System has announced that Ryan Martin has been named principal of Paul Breaux Middle School. Martin has worked in Lafayette Parish schools for 21 years. The 1994 graduate of Northside High served in the United States Marine Corps and holds a bachelor's and master's degree from UL Lafayette. Good news for the national championship LSU gymnastics team. Top gymnast Haley Bryant is returning for a 5th year. Bryant also won the NCAA All-Around Championship, and she is the all-time perfect 10 leader in LSU history with 18. Bryant says she talked it over with family, coaches, and teammates, and she wasn't ready for it to end. That's a look at your news. I'm Tracy Wirtz. The Rustic Renegade is your one-stop shop in Lafayette for firearms, concealment furniture, men's grooming products, and our locally roasted coffee.
Plenty of clear skies out there in the afternoon. A little bit of patchy fog this morning. Should not be as dense as it was yesterday. Temperatures get up to about 89 degrees. Winds from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight lows tonight going to sit in the 70s. A couple scattered showers on the way for tomorrow, but the bulk of the rainfall holding off until the first half of the day on Friday. Clearing out, though, in time for the weekend. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
Few new accidents popping up on our board this morning. You have an accident westbound I-10 near mile marker 104. That is going to be around the Louisiana Avenue exit. Also an accident 2900 block of Congress Street. Got an accident still showing up, or now showing up, West Pinhook Road at West James Como Road. And still showing the accident downtown West Vermilion and West Lafayette. Hopefully that has been moved off the roadway. Current temperature 69 degrees. KPEL News Time is 8:40 on this Wednesday, May the 1st. Tracy Words, Mark Pope joining you. And Mark, our friend Bernie published a story on our website that is just frightening. She has a friend who was carjacked, and this particular woman, who is unnamed, of course, in the story, is a friend of Bernie's. And she said on Monday, April 15th, her friend was coming home from meetings, doing a favor for another friend when she stopped at a convenience store near home to pick up milk and bread. She got her items and left. Well, on her way home, she decided to cut through a parking lot to get to her subdivision. That's when one of the corners of that shopping center, on the corners, she noticed a man that was on a bike. He wasn't moving and just sitting there. When he looked at her, she admits she got that feeling like, she calls it her spidey senses. And Oprah years ago said, when you get those senses, listen to them. She said she just got that feeling in the pit of her stomach, but she let her guard down, kept going, turned onto her street, backed into her driveway, and decided to stay in the car while one of her favorite songs played. She said, when you pull into your driveway, I think most of us do let our guards down. We're thinking, oh, we're safe. Well, she said, I knew better. I thought I was safe in my driveway. As she turned her body to the left to exit the vehicle, there was this man. It was the man she'd seen at the corner. And at this point, he's pointing a gun at her and yelling at her an obscenity, get out. She says she was then pulled by her arm and thrown to the concrete between her driveway and the neighbor's driveway. And he yelled at her, this man did, for her keys. She had dropped it, though, getting out of the car, dropped them along with her phone. She told him they were on the ground. She said she didn't have her gun, so she apparently has one, but she didn't have it with her. And she described on Facebook that, he's screaming at her. And she says she's telling him, just please don't kill me. She's thinking about her family. She's pleading with him. My grandchildren are going to be upset. My children are going to be upset. He ended up grabbing the keys and taking off in her car. And she wondered at that point, like, is he going to come back? Is he going to come back and hurt me? The suspect had apparently stopped to put his bike in the car, that was seen by a neighbor. She heard it drive far enough away that she knew she could finally get up and run for help. So she ran into the backyard. She fell. She said her knees felt like jello, and was able to alert somebody. And she said her advice is this: why don't I listen to my instincts? Why did I let my guard down? Why did I stay in my car and listen to that song? And why didn't I have my weapon? So those are all just good reminders. She said that's why she's sending out this message, not to alert women, not to create fear in them, or anybody, by the way. I mean, men or women, but oftentimes women have a tendency to be what criminals feel are an easier target. She said she wants everyone to know how diligently the investigators and the Lafayette Police Department worked on the case. She said a suspect was arrested on a charge of armed robbery and a charge of identity theft. Mm-hmm. Again, this is not meant to instill fear. This is meant to say it happens. It has happened very close to home right here in Lafayette, and to make sure that you are definitely situationally aware and that you take the precautions to keep yourself safe.
Yeah, and it's the secret of life, or the balancing act, as it were, is, look, we're in a dangerous world. Every day you walk out that door, you're taking a risk. You're going to get in that automobile. You're out. Life has its risks. So the secret is the balancing act. You have to be vigilant, but you don't want to be so cynical and non-trusting. Afraid. Yeah, fear, like you said, as the lady points out. I'm not trying to instill fear, nor are we. But you have to be aware, situationally aware. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, you can live a happy, safe life. So again, we're not trying to instill fear, but you have to be aware of these things. And stories like the one Bernie did with her friend are very helpful to keep our eyes open, our eyes and ears open.
Absolutely. So be safe out there. We are going to take a break, and we will be back to wrap up Acadiana's Morning News on this Wednesday morning. KPEL News Time is 8:45.
Securing America.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Joint Chiefs Chairman General C.Q. Brown testifying before the House Armed Services Committee Tuesday in support of President Biden's proposed $849.8 billion budget for the Pentagon for fiscal year 2025. The secretary saying the budget prioritizes readiness, modernization, and support for the troops.
The price of U.S. leadership is real, but it is far lower than the price of U.S. abdication.
Hearing Chairman Congressman Mike Rogers of Alabama reflected on the recent testimonies of other military leaders.
The threats we face today are more complex and more formidable than at any point over the last 30 years.
Something Secretary Austin agreed with.
We are in a global struggle between democracy and autocracy, and our security relies on American strength of purpose.
Chairman Brown adding that there is urgency to getting the budget passed.
We're living in consequential times, and there's no time to waste.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Mostly sunny skies across Acadiana by the afternoon, with temperatures getting to about 89 degrees. Winds will be from the south at 5 to 10 miles an hour, and overnight lows are going to be getting down into the 70s. A look ahead. Through the rest of the week, we've got a couple spotty showers on the way for tomorrow, but a bulk of the rainfall holding off until Friday. Friday morning looks like we'll see some heavy downpours out there and a couple thunderstorms. Severe weather doesn't look likely at this time, but that could certainly change. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
We have an accident with injuries. South College and Bendel. That's right near Oxnard Lafayette General. Accident I-10 westbound near mile marker 104. That's going to be by the Louisiana Avenue exit, so be careful in that area. 2900 block of Congress Street still showing that accident too. Sun is out. It is warming up. We are holding, though, at 69 degrees. KPEL News time is 8:51 on this Wednesday, May the 1st. Tracy Wertz, Mark Pope, and big festival weekend. I was just reading on NOLA.com that the New Orleans Jazz Fest continues. It's a 2-weekend festival. And the reason I bring that up is because big names are often there. And that's the case this week on tomorrow night, actually. The Rolling Stones.
The Stones.
The Stones. And Earth, Wind, and Fire, those kind of things. But tickets are not cheap. So,
well, yeah.
If you plan to head on to New Orleans and you don't already have your tickets, you might have to get them on one of those resale sites.
Yeah.
And plan to spend, a little bit of money.
Is it still at the fairgrounds?
Yeah, the New Orleans Fairgrounds.
Yeah, I've been twice, but it's been quite some time since I've been.
I've never been. I see a lot of pictures. That's a lot of people in a little bit of space, relatively. I'm not a huge fan of crowds. I kind of have a crowd phobia.
Yeah, and the headliner bands when I was there once, one was Boz Scaggs. He was hot back in the 80s.
Yeah, I remember that.
And man, it's like there were some little bitty ants. I was so far back. It sounded like my neighbor's radio playing in the yard, in the yard next to me, rather than a live band. I mean, literally, I would guesstimate there were like 20,000 people.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, if you go, to your point, I mean, if I want to go to listen to music and to see a band, I'm going to watch it on TV because, then you can, I know that's not the same, but if you go to those things, it really is about the experience. It's about the experience of being there with all the people, feeling that energy and knowing that you were sharing at least the same zip code.
Right.
With the popular artist, right?
Correct.
Someplace you can go closer to home and tap your toes a little is the ever popular Breaux Bridge Crawfish Festival. Things get underway on Friday night with folks like Wayne Toops on stage, Four Horses, Forrest Huval, Rusty Metier, Jamie Bergeron. And then it moves to Saturday when there's just a full slate, obviously. Let me see some of the popular names that pop out. Gerald Grunig and Gentile Zydeco. He started a band a couple of years ago, and he's having a ball. Keith Frank, the Pine Leaf Boys, Chubby Carrier, Gino Delafosse. You got the Huval Family Band, Corey Ledette, Jordan Thibodeau and Loretta. Jordan Thibodeau played at Festival International last weekend, and I still don't know how to say the name of his band.
Les Radioleuses.
Yeah, I don't think you pronounce the L's, but I'm not sure.
No, et les Radioleuses. That's my guess.
Yeah, no, you don't pronounce the L's.
Okay.
Yeah, when they're double L's, you don't pronounce. Anyway, Horace Strahan and Travis Mott, and then wraps up on Sunday with Donnie Broussard, Nickel Beer, one of my favorites. My favorite local bands. Leroy Thomas, Joe Hall, and they have a tent where you can hear some real traditional Cajun music. They have all sorts of events too. They have dance lessons, crawfish eating, of course. If you think you can take on the pros, then you can participate in that. But there are Cajun dance lessons, not just Cajun dance, but Zydeco dance lessons as well. As I look through, they have a festival. They will have a cook-off, judging and sampling on Sunday at noon. And then if you'd like to see the parade, it's at 9:30 on Sunday morning. Why? The cook-off, by the way, is crawfish étouffée, not boiled crawfish.
Right.
Crawfish étouffée.
Right.
The chefs get underway about 9 o'clock. And again, the cook-off and the judging and sampling is at noon. By the way, you can register at the information booth prior to the contest if you'd like to participate.
Sure. And there is a nominal fee to get in, but don't let that hold you back. And, look, just like Festival International, there's a lot of music, just like at Crawfish Festival, but it's a cultural festival. Mm-hmm. You got the people, these arts and crafts booth. I mean, you go and meet these people and you look at the woodworking that they do and just on, and you just interact with the people. And that's the experience. Yeah, the bands are nice, and the eating the crawfish, of course, obviously.
Yeah,
crawfish. But our festivals are incredible. And another one in
let me just tell them real quickly, Mark. If you aren't familiar with the Crawfish Festival, it's at Park Hardy. You get off at the Bro Bridge exit. You go down a little ways. You can't miss it. It's right there on the left.
Yeah, BrobridgeCrawfishFestival.com. That's how you got to this site, right, Tracy?
No, BBCrawfest.com. BBCrawfest.com. Yeah, they've had that address for a long time. Real quickly, we only have a few seconds left. Sunset, you said?
Yeah, Urban Garden Festival, Marie Street and Sunset by the old Sunset High. Loads of fun there as well.
Yeah, they'll have bands and stuff, or what do they have?
It's education, booths, 100 booths, just on it. Kids' activities, les Jardins des Enfants.
Got
the
it.
Children's Garden.
Perfect.
A whole lot of other stuff.
And, of course, today's big stories that we will be watching, the protests going on across the country, Columbia University, a lot of people there were arrested this morning, and the Louisiana congressional maps. Have a good day. Thanks for listening. God bless.
The report is brought to you by Gulf Coast Bank, your local community bank. Whether your financial needs are for an individual, a business, or for the whole family, Gulf Coast Bank has the knowledge and products to serve you best. With 9 convenient locations throughout Acadiana, you're never far from a friendly Gulf Coast Bank associate.
I'm Neil Cavuto, and this is the Fox Business Report.
There's another sign of the job market holding up. Payroll processing company ADP says there were 192,000 new jobs created by private employers in April. Economists were expecting 175,000. The ADP report is not considered a preview of the monthly employment report, which is released on Friday. The Federal Reserve's meeting wraps up today. Shares of Yum Brands are losing ground. The parent company of Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut says it was seeing a difficult operating environment in the recent quarter. Its earnings and revenue were weaker than forecast. Earnings are mixed. DuPont is seeing demand for its products used in semiconductors. The stock is higher. Among disappointing reports, Starbucks and CVS Health. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola. Invested in you.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now, and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995
every day at 5 p.m. right here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. It's me, Joe Cunningham, with The Joe Cunningham Show, offering you news, analysis, and commentary you're not going to get anywhere else. The big news stories of the day, and even some of the headlines you may not be aware of. It's your local, state, and national news coverage from a local perspective right here. Every day, News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Check us out, The Joe Cunningham Show, every day at 5 p.m.